Welcome to the Concepts of Zoology YouTube channel. So today we will discuss the animal behavior core subject of BSc Honors Zoology Semester 4. Series wise contents of different units will be uploaded. So first we start with the unit number 1. Unit number 1 is origin and history of animal behavior, modern contributors of scientists who contributed to the development of animal behavior, pioneers, and major words and definitions involved in animal behavior studies. So, what is animal behavior? Animal behavior is the study of how animals interact with their environment and other organisms. It includes how animals move, learn, and socially interact. So there are two terms, ethology and ethnology. Both these terms are different. Ethology, the study of human behavior or any animal behavior, and social organization from a biological perspective. Ethnology is, while ethnology is the study of human societies and culture. So this is the difference between these two words. Ethology meaning refers to the scientific study of animal behavior with an emphasis on behavior in natural environments. Charles Darwin was first ethologist influencing numerous ethologists with 1872 book The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals. This was the book published by Darwin in 1872. Ivan Pavlov. So before this I discussed the pioneers of modern ethology. So first we discuss those scientists. First one is Carl von Frisch. So you must remember the name of the scientist and their contribution. This question is asked in your exam. First is Carl von Frisch. He was Austrian ethologist, discovered the communication in honeybees. As we know that in honeybees they communicate through dance. There are two types of dance, round dance and your waggle dance. So both these dance were discovered by Carl von Frisch. He discovered how they communicate, how the distance and direction predicted by the honeybees, and how they communicate this message with other bees. Second in this list is Ivan Pavlov. Ivan Pavlov was a Russian experimental neurologist and physiologist known for his discovery of classical conditioning through his experiment with dog. So here is two words. One is classical and second is conditioning. Conditioning means for any stimulus there is requirement of some key. So when that particular stimulus is attached with a condition, like for feeding the dog, if I attach a sound of bell, then bell is acting as the condition. And classical means it was very old, or you can say the classical means very first kind of thing. So that's why this is called classical conditioning. So the classical conditioning was discovered by Ivan Pavlov. Konrad Lorenz, he is considered as father of modern ethology. He contributed lot in the development of animal behavior. Konrad Lorenz was an Austrian zoologist, ethologist, and ornithologist. Ornithologist means study of birds. He shared the 1973 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine with Nicholas Tinbergen and Carl von Frisch. These three scientists awarded with Nobel Prize in 1973. He is often regarded as one of the founders of modern ethology. He is well known for imprinting the early stage learning in animals, especially in birds. Now next is nicotine version. He also contributed lot in the ethology. Nicotine version in 1963 published a seminal paper entitled On the Aims and Methods of Ethology. which laid the foundation for how to conduct research in the fledgling field of animal behavior. The lasting contribution of the paper is that in it Tinbergen formulated four different, albeit somewhat interlinked approaches to the study of animal behavior, or four different type of questions. The four question that was given by Tinbergen was a key to the study of animal behavior, and that leads to the detailed development of how behaviors develop, how behaviors performed, and what is the cause of behavior. So those all concepts originated from the concept given by Tinbergen. The four questions of Tinbergen, in your previous year exams, these four questions has been asked, so you must know the four questions. First is function or adaptation. Question number 1, why is the animal performing the behavior? In which way does the behavior increase the animal's fitness, its survival and reproduction? Examples are plentiful and include, among many others, nurturing of young to increase their chances of survival, migration to warmer and more food rich habitats, escaping or avoiding attention from predator, etc. So question number 1 is, why is the animal performing the behavior? So basic answer is for the survival. So for the survival needs, animal must perform the behavior. Second is evolution or phylogeny, means how did the behavior evolve? How has natural selection modified the behavior over evolutionary time? This is typically addressed by the comparative approach, where the behavior in question is compared among closely related species. Examples include how flight in birds may have evolved from gliding in dinosaurs, or how the vertebrate and cephalopod eyes have evolved by convergent evolution, with the former having a blind spot while the latter does not. So, two questions were, why is the animal performing the behavior? How did behavior evolve? Now come to question number 3, that is cause. What causes the behavior to be performed? What is the reason? Which stimuli elicit, or what physiological mechanisms cause the behavior? Examples include the role of pheromones and hormones, such as increasing testosterone level caused by increasing day length, causing male display behavior in many species of birds, moving shadows causing ragworm to withdraw into their burrows, or contrast on beaks causing herring gull chicks to peck. So there must be some cause to perform the behavior. So we must know the cause of behavior. That is part of ethology. Last question of Tinbergen was development or ontogeny. How has the behavior developed during the lifetime of the individual? How has the behavior developed during the lifetime of the individual? In what ways has it been influenced by experience and learning? So it is true that our behaviors are modified by the experience and learning. Examples include how courtship behavior improves with age in many birds, and how predators learn to avoid toxic or dangerous prey with experience. So these four questions was given by Tinbergen. Now after that we come to the experiment performed by Ivan Pavlov. Pavlov's experiment on dog, classical conditioning. During 1890, Russian physiologist Ivan Pavlov was researching salivation in a dog in response to being fed. So, after giving the food, there must be salivation in dog. So, he inserted a small test tube into the cheek of each dog to measure saliva when the dog were fed. with a powder made from meat. Pavlov predicted the dog would salivate in response to the food placed in front of them. But major point is here, फूड देने से पहले ही नोटिस्ड दैट जो उसको फूड देने के लिए आ रहा है उसके फुट स्टेप, जो उसके पाँव का साउंड है, उससे ही क्या हो रहा है, उनके अंदर सेलिब्रेशन स्टार्ट हो रहा है. दिस इंडिकेटेड दैट डॉग हैव सम सेंसिंग मैकेनिज्म that is considered as a condition, because whenever the food giver approaches to the dog, they understand that they will provide the food and salivation start. But he noticed that his dog would begin to salivate whenever they heard the footsteps of his assistant who was bringing them the food. So we can say the footstep as the condition. We can say this. So instead of this footstep, if I attach some, you can say sound or bell, then they understand, dog will understand. So sounding of bell means there will be food. So this is called conditioning. So this was the observation. On this observation, Pavlov proved this by conditioning. So now next, classical conditioning. Pavlov started from the idea that there are some things that a dog does not need to learn. For example, dog don't learn to salivate whenever they see food. This reflex is hardwired into the dog. In behaviorist term, it is an unconditioned response. So salivation response in dog is unconditioned response, means stimulus response connection that required no learning. It can be done without any learning. So unconditioned stimulus is your food and unconditioned response is your salivate. Salivation is unconditioned because it does not require any kind of learning, and food, that is unconditioned because we does not provide anything with the food. Now next, in his experiment, Pavlov used a bell as his neutral stimulus. Bell is neutral stimulus because initially bell has no any impact, but when you attach it with the food, then dog will learn the sounding of bell means there will be food. So whenever he gave food to his dog, he also rang a bell. This is important. Whenever he gave food to his dog, he also rang a bell. After a number of repeats of this procedure, he tried the bell on its own. The bell on its own now caused an increase in salivation. The bell on its own now caused an increase in salivation. So the dog had learned an association between the bell and the food, and a new behavior had been observed. Now, when he given food in a combination with bell, then dog learn that ringing of bell means there must be food. Because this response was conditioned, it is called a conditioned response. The neutral stimulus has become a conditioned stimulus. The neutral stimulus has become a conditioned stimulus. Classical conditioning is classical in that it is the first systematic study of basic law of learning or conditioning. That's why it is called classical. Now this is your whole experiment. Initially, the food was unconditioned because it doesn't attach with any additional signal like bell or anything else. And salivation response in dog was unconditioned because it is natural. It doesn't require any learning. Dog will definitively salivate in response to food. So this is all about the before conditioning. So the bell was acting as the neutral stimulus before conditioning, because before conditioning bell have no role to play, no response. Even you rang the bell before conditioning, dog doesn't show any response because dog was not aware of the sound of the bell. But what happens during conditioning? During means we teach to the dog. During giving the food, we rang the bell. Means dog will learn that this sound indicates food. So again, the response here is unconditioned. During conditioning, the response of dog is unconditioned because still during this time the salivation response is due to food, but due to continuation of the sound along with food, this will be conditioned after some time. Whenever conditioned is complete, even the ring of bell will lead to conditioned response, because dog will understand that ringing of bell means food. So now the response is conditioned because we have attached a condition of bell with the food. So this was the experiment of Ivan Pavlov. Now there are two types of behavior. Innate behavior means naturally present. Innate behaviors do not have to be learned or practiced. They are also called instinctive behaviors. An instinct is the ability of animal to perform a behavior the first time it is exposed to the proper stimulus. Or instinct is also defined as the internal force to do the work. Now we come to the next topic, nicotine inversion. We have discussed the four questions. Now come to the Konrad Lorenz imprinting theory. So Lorenz 1935 investigated the mechanism of imprinting, where some species of animal form an attachment to the first large moving object that they meet. This process suggests that attachment is innate and programmed genetically. He took a large clutch of goose egg and kept them until they were about to hatch out. Half of the eggs were placed under a goose mother, while Lorenz kept the other half hatched in an incubator. Basically इस एक्सपेरिमेंट में आपका ये था, आधे एग्स को जो मदर थी गूज की उसके नीचे रखे गए, मीन्स इन द नेचुरल सिस्टम। आधे एग्स को हटा के इंक्यूबेशन में रखा गया, मतलब इन आर्टिफिशियल कंडीशन। भाई एक्सपेरिमेंट डिजाइन था ये। विद लॉरेंज मेकिंग श्योर ही वॉज द फर्स्ट मूविंग ऑब्जेक्ट द न्यूली हैच्ड गॉसलिंग्स एनकाउंटर्ड। लॉरेंज ने ये डिसाइड किया कि भाई जब उनके अंदर हैचिंग होगी तो जो इंक्यूबेटर के अंदर रखे हुए हैं उनके अंदर से जो हैचलिंग्स आएंगे तो उसके सामने लॉरेंज विल एक्टिंग एज द फर्स्ट मूविंग ऑब्जेक्ट, क्योंकि उनके अंदर ये इम्प्रिंटेड है, उनके अंदर ये जेनेटिकली वायर्ड है कि हैचिंग के बाद जो मूविंग ऑब्जेक्ट होगा हमें उसके पीछे जाना है, वेदर इट कैन बी मदर और एनीथिंग। तो लॉरेंज ने वो प्रूव किया। When the geese hatched, Lorenz imitated a mother's duck quacking sound, upon which the young birds regarded him as their mother and followed him accordingly. जब उनके अंदर हैचिंग हुई तो यहाँ से बेसिकली ये हुआ कि the hatchlings understand the moving object, that is Lorenz. They considered Lorenz as the mother and they started moving behind Lorenz. So the other group followed the mother. बाकी एक ग्रुप तो आपका नेचुरल सिस्टम में हो रहा था। Lorenz found that geese follow the first moving object they see. This process is known as imprinting and suggests that attachment is innate and programmed genetically. Imprinting is also a kind of learning, but it is the early stage learning. Lorenz believed that once imprinting has occurred, it cannot be reversed, nor can a gosling imprint on anything else. So once imprinting is done, it cannot be reversed. It is basically early stage learning. So this is your mother and The goslings follow them. This is Lawrence, and again you can see goose newly hatched young ones following Lawrence. In this case, goose newly hatched young ones following mother. So this is the end of your unit 1, in which we have discussed many concepts: ethology, ethnology, then book of the Darwin, Pavlov's experiment, classical conditioning, this experiment, pioneers of the modern ethology, Carl von Frisch, Ivan Pavlov, Konrad Lorenz, Nicot inversion, 4 questions of the Nicot inversion, Konrad Lorenz imprinting theory. Now this is the end of unit 1. Rest of the other units content will be uploaded very soon.